It's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
What's up? This is part 2 of What If Deku was great. Now, I mean the reincarnation of Grateful Buster from Fairy Tail. So I'm pretty sure we left off. We were talking about how every villain stopped doing crime because Deku, Todoroki, and Bakugo, and the only person who didn't really care was the guy with all for one. And he really didn't care, and then let's just say crime rates started going back up and crime started happening. And then Deku was kind of bored and he wanted to focus on like some other things in his life other than like saving people. So he started doing stuff as well as Todoroki, but Bakugo, every time he went to go into the crime scenes, he found out that they weren't there, and he was like, huh, and then he just stopped. And then Deku started hanging out with his girlfriend Momo more, and then like she became friends with them. These were like really close friends. Let's just say they were always kind of friends, but now they're really close. And let's just say one day, Deku saw a report that a villain had been robbing banks successfully. And Deku and Todoroki kinda were like, we really have to do this, and then they were so mad. And then they dragged themselves all the way to where the suspected next bank robbery was. And they caught him in the act. And let's just say he had I'm thinking of a nice quirk. Like a rock cork or something? Let's just say like a earth cork. And he was really hard opponent to find. To beat. But Deku kept fighting him, and the fight went on for at least 3 hours, I will say. And finally, the cops arrived, and then they were staying outside like 3 hours later because they saw that Deku and Todoroki were there. But they realized that the fight was going on way too long. And then when I finally got there, Deku finally beat him, but he was damaged. Let's just say Todoroki was damaged as well. Let's just say they were like getting beat by that one guy because he was really, really strong. But Deku had to activate his blue Rinnegan to defeat him because he was super strong. And he finally defeated him after 3 hours, but he activated the Rinnegan 30 minutes after, and he was really exhausted, and he was already, damaged or whatever. Like, he was already, let's just say that. And he was really hurt. And then Todoroki and him got to the hospital. Momo and that invisible girl showed up. But I'm really about to look up her name because I'm not trying to keep. And they showed up and they were at their hospital beds. And then they asked, were they going to be okay? And then for Deku, they said he would have to be there for at least 3 days to a week. And then for Todoroki, it was 2 days to 5 days. And like, let's just say Todoroki didn't get as hurt as bad as Deku. And Deku was in the hospital for a week. When he finally got out, he was so mad. And like everywhere he walked, it got cold and colder and colder. Now the guy was in jail, and Deku went to go pay a visit, and he showed up and started didn't interrogate him, but he started talking to him, and he was like, "Hey, you did some serious damage. You've been in prison for a week." And why? He said, "Why are you committing these crimes? You should be on the verge of death now, because how many banks you robbed? You know how much money is that, dude? Probably robbed like 6 banks." And he was like, "Huh, I don't listen and I don't care." And he was like, "Huh, so you're a tough guy, huh?" And he said, "Yeah, and what are you gonna do about it?" Then Deku got kind of mad to the point where he grabbed the ice spear and put it up right to where his heart was. He said, "I will stick this right in your heart, piercing your heart, killing you." And then Nezu came in and said, "Deku, don't." And then Deku said, "I wasn't planning on it." And he was like, "Yeah, okay." And then he didn't leave him there. He didn't leave them there by himself. And then he was like, "Yeah, oh." He was like, "Yeah, okay." And then Deku left, mad as ever, and he was ticked. He went to the dorm and everybody asked if Todoroki and him were okay. But they had to ask Todoroki first because he obviously got out earlier. But, so he was kind of, yeah, he was like, "Hey, yeah, I'm okay." Then Bakugo was like, "Hey guys, can you train with me?" And then they were like, "Oh, your quirk is totally different from ours, but we could try." And let's just say, since that Deku and what's her name have them, let's just since Deku and Deku and Todoroki have them, let's just say everybody else can have them. But nobody had them other than Deku and Todoroki. And let's just say Deku and Todoroki was they were stronger than everybody else, obviously. And then Deku and Todoroki started training very intensely. And by the time they were done training, they were strong. And then they started training some more the next day, and they got the Ren and Sharingan, but it was blue. I will pull up a picture, but not right now. Actually, I will. Hold up. And they unlocked this, the Ren and Sharingan, but it's blue. And Todoroki obviously didn't unlock the red one because he wasn't training with his fire. He was training with his ice. So they trained really, really intensely to get that. And they were super strong. Then they started working on physical strength. And Deku always had his shirt off. When he went to go fight villains, shirt off. At school, shirt off. Intense training, shirt off. And this time, while he's physical training, shirt off, obviously. Because he's basically gray. And they were pretty cool with their shirts off because like they really didn't care. But Bakugo wanted Deku to put on his shirt because he was out out like let's just say he was getting jealous and he was out doing him or whatever. And they started doing logic training, and after 2 months he was pretty strong. And then a whole bunch of villains started going crazy, and Deku and Todoroki and Bakugo didn't know what to do. Then they asked they asked class 1A and class 1B, I'ma just say. And let's just say class 1B didn't accept, but class 1A did. And they had to take them out all by themselves, but they put everybody in teams of 3. Like in Naruto or whatever. And the 3 teams, it was Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku. And then I'm not explaining all of the other ones. And it was them. And they were the main ones. They were the captains. And they told everybody to go different ways and find a whole bunch of crime. And if there was any other trouble, that they would be there really cool soon, and that they needed to tell them. And then everybody was like, yeah. And then they ran. And then they ran and ran. Then they finally found their first village. And Deku just one-handed iced them all. And the cops were all everywhere. So they were they were at the crime scenes but they just needed the heroes to take them out because the villains were strong. And one of them had a hostage. Deku and them ran into one that had a hostage. And he had a gun cork or whatever. He had an accuracy cork with guns or something. And he had a gun up to his head or her or whatever. Let's just say her. And Deku said, "Hey, guy, let go of the gun." And then he was like, "Okay, if you're gonna shoot anybody, shoot me." And Deku got shot. And then Todoroki and Bakugo ran up to the guy. And let's just say Bakugo and Todoroki killed the guy. And let's just say they were charged with murder, but Deku took the blame for it. And so he ended up going to jail for a couple. Deku ended up going to jail for a couple of days. And let's just say he went to jail for 2 days. And then when he finally got back, all the crime was gone thanks to them. And then Todoroki and Bakugo visited every day and said, you shouldn't have took the blame. Then they finally let him out. And then he still had a bullet in his chest, but was not chest. Let's just say in his stomach or whatever. But when it shot, he tried to put some ice right there. but he did successfully put ice right there, but it was only a little bit, so it stopped the bullet a little bit, but he still took some damage. And everybody asked if he was like really okay this time, and he said yeah. He just said, I just have a bullet. And they said, isn't that going to be painful when you're doing something? He said, yeah, but I don't really care. Then they're like, yeah. And Momo was really worried. And then it happened again. But this time it wasn't a whole bunch of villains. It was one villain. And that one villain, let's just say he had a speed quirk. And convincingly, the first person who was there was Ida. Yep, big coincidence. And Ida was acting like he was fighting a guy. And then they're like, yeah, I think Ida got this one, because Ida was acting like the guy got beat up. The guy had some really good acting skills, and it was from his own it was from Ida's own family. Ida's family needed some money to pay debt to some gangs or whatever, to some people. And they wanted to rob a bank because they didn't, quote unquote, they didn't have the money. And then they left. Watching Ida from the shadows, seeing what he was going to do. And they saw that Ida snuck into the building with the guy. Then they thought in their head, oh no. And then they said, oh, Ida, what are you getting yourself into? And then they hurried up and grabbed Ida and started punching him and saying that he was an idiot. And then Bakugo ran at his brother. Let's just say it was his brother that was robbing the bank with him. And his brother was in there about to get the cash. But Bakugo ran at him with the charging up blast, and Ida ran in away, getting hit by the blast, knocking him out, almost killing him. And Bakugo really charged it up, and to the point where the guy wouldn't die, but it wasn't suited for somebody younger than him. And he thought that he killed Ida, and that Deku was going to take the blame again. And then Todoroki went up to Ida, and he put his hand over like where his heart was, and he said he's still alive, he's just unconscious. And then the brother with a speed cord grabbed a whole bunch of cash and was speeding out of the place. He was like really fast. But unfortunately, Deku and Todoroki made like an ice barrier. So he couldn't get out. But he actually almost ran past it. But he just cracked it a little bit, making every single little piece of ice fall on him. Making him be like under the rubble from like Uraka from the first episode. And he was covered. And then he hurried up and got it out of there. But by the time he was about to run out, he just got absolutely slapped in the face by Todoroki. Todoroki knocked him out. And then Ida and his brother went to jail. They were going to jail for, I would say, 10 years? 5? Yeah, I'm going to say 5. And right now, they are 14. I would say, I am going to say, so by the time he gets out of jail, he's going to be like 24, I'm pretty sure. no, 5 years, so 19. And and then they were like, that was close. And they were pretty surprised by that. And then they went to jail for 5 years. And the Speed family or whatever, I forgot what their business is called. I'm just called them Speed family. Actually, let's just say like a couple of the Speed family died. Let's just say the mother and another brother of Ethan. And they died. They died from the from the people who needed their debt paid or whatever, from the so-called gangsta gang members or whatever. And Ida and what's the name heard the news. They were shocked. They thought that their father, that their brother and mother could survive because they were really strong. But sadly, their dad didn't die, but he didn't protect the other two either. He just ran off like a little girl. And let's just say they had the money all that time, but they just didn't want to pay it. And eventually, their dad showed up to the jail, paying the fee for them to get out. Then they wanted to go kill Todoroki, Deku, and Bakugo for doing that. And they snuck into the dorm while they were sleeping, and they kidnapped Deku, Todoroki, and Bakugo. And in the morning, Momo and the Invisible Girl knocked on their boyfriend's or whatever door and opened it to see nobody there. And then they told everybody that they weren't there, and then they said they probably were doing something to change. Then they looked outside and saw nobody, and then they said it's not like them to go off like that. And eventually Deku made his let's just say they changed them up, and Deku and Todoroki and Bakugo they all got out. But Deku froze his, and let's just say Todoroki burned his, like melted his, and Bakugo just went all crazy and blasted the things off. And then they all got out, and it was a whole bunch of guards there. But Todoroki, Deku, and just not killed, but they beat them up, I will say. So let's just say they killed them. Because they not killed. Let's just say they knocked them out and then called the police on them. And then an alarm got shut off, and then they hurried up and got out of there. And they got out of there, but the cops didn't see them, but the cops almost did, and they thought that would be really bad. So they got out of there really, really fast. And fortunately, Ida and his family that was still alive actually got arrested. And then they went back to the dorm. And then they went back to the dorm and went to sleep. Next morning, they heard a knock on the doors and they opened it. And then Momo and the Invisible Girl were so confused. I'm gonna just say this is where it ended off. My fault for ending it off on like a short notice. But yeah, this form ended it off. And peace.